All right, so let's take a look here at number 27 from the week 9 homework. So the problem reads as follows. It says, after flooding damaged much of the crop, the cost of a head of lettuce jumped from $0.94 or 94 cents to $2.18. So what percent of increase is this? Round to the nearest 1%. So I just want to turn your guys' attention to our book, and specifically in chapter 6.3, there are many different applications of percents throughout that section, and one of them is finding a percent increase or decrease. So being even more specific here, if you go to page 542, and basically in the very middle of the page in a green box, you will see a little bit of an algorithm or an explanation, a step-by-step process on how to find an increase or decrease. So basically it's a two-step process. It says step 1 is to subtract the smaller number from the larger to find the amount of increase or decrease. And then step 2 is to find what percent the amount of increase or decrease is of the original amount. All right, so to start off here, it says our original amount is 94 cents. We're going to have to tweak this just a little bit. I was doing another version of the problem. Won't be too different though. And let's see, this one's going to change as well, $2.18. So we'll actually keep this. All right, thank you for your patience. So let's get these more accurate. All right, so 94 cents and $2.18. 94 to 18. All right, so this was the original price of the lettuce, but we had some flooding, probably lost a lot of our crop, so the crop that we did have left to sell, we're going to have to increase that price in order to either break even or try to make some sort of profit out of it. So if we look at that little algorithm on page 542, it says first subtract the smaller number from the larger so we can figure out our so we can figure out the amount of increase or decrease. So in this particular case, we are going to have an increase, right, since your new price is larger than your original price. And more specifically, we have, so from $2.18, we are going to subtract 0.94 or 94 cents. So that means that the cost went up by $1.24. So we had an increase of $1.24. Okay, so that was step 1. Step 2 says find out what percent the amount of increase or decrease is of the original amount. So right here is our percent, I keep saying percent increase. Right here is the amount of increase, and we want to know what percent is this value of our original value. So in this case of 94 cents. So in other words, a good way of thinking about it is this. If we take 0.94 and we multiply it by some numerical value representing a percent, then that would be equal to our new value, which is 1.24. Right? So basically we're saying what percent, right, what do you have to multiply 0.94 by in order to get this increase? And that will tell us what percent this increase is of the original amount. So in order to solve this little equation here, notice that 0.94 is connected to x through multiplication. So to undo that multiplication, we would have to divide. And since we're dividing the left side by 0.94, whatever we do on one side, we have to do to the other in order to maintain our equivalence there. So we'd have to divide both sides by 0.94. All right, so remember that the multiplication by 0.94 cancels with the division of 0.94. leaving us with just x on the left-hand side. And then over here we're going to have to divide these two decimals, so we have 1.24 divided by 0.94. And this is equal to 1.31914, and as you can see, it continues to go on and on and on. All right, let's just go ahead and round this to 4 decimal places, so we'd end up with 1.3191. 1.3191. All right. So if you remember, guys, we're looking for a percent increase or decrease. All right, so this number that we're looking at here, all right, this is the numerical value representing this percent. So in order to get to the percent, we need to take our decimal and move it once, twice to the right. So we would end up with 131.91%. All right, so this is the same thing as saying that x would be equal to 131.91%. And if you look closely at the directions of the problem, it does say to round your final answer to the nearest whole percent. Let's double check that. Yeah, so to the nearest 1%. So in this case, we have 131.9, so that means we would need to round up to 132%. And this would be our final answer.